The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the vast expanse of the Arizona desert in hues of orange and crimson. The air was still, save for the faint rustling of tumbleweeds as they rolled across the dusty plains. In the distance, a lone coyote howled, its mournful cry echoing through the desolate landscape. It was here, amidst this barren beauty, that John Carter found himself riding home after another long day at the ranch. John had once been a man full of life and laughter, his heart brimming with love for his wife, Mary. Together, they had built a thriving cattle ranch on the outskirts of town, their days filled with hard work and evenings spent under the stars recounting tales of adventure and dreams yet to come. But fate had other plans. A year ago, Mary succumbed to an illness that no doctor could cure, leaving John alone with nothing but memories and the silence of the empty house. Since then, John's world had shrunk to the confines of the ranch. He rarely ventured into town, finding solace in the familiar rhythm of tending to his animals and maintaining the land. Yet, despite his efforts to keep busy, there were moments when loneliness crept in like a shadow, haunting him even in the bright light of day. On this particular evening, as he rode toward the barn, little did he know that something extraordinary awaited him, a moment that would challenge everything he thought he knew about loss and love. As John dismounted from his horse, he noticed movement near the edge of the property where the trees began to thin out. At first glance, it appeared to be just another stray animal wandering too close to the ranch. However, as he squinted against the fading sunlight, he realized it wasn't an animal at all. It was a person. A young girl, no older than 10, stood there clutching something tightly in her hands. Her clothes were torn and dirty, her face streaked with dirt and tears. She looked both frightened and determined, her wide eyes fixed firmly on John as he approached cautiously. "Who are you?" John asked gruffly, trying to mask his surprise. His voice carried over the soft crunch of gravel beneath his boots. "What are you doing out here so late?" The girl hesitated before answering, her voice barely more than a whisper. I'm looking for someone," she said, her gaze dropping to the object clutched in her hand. It was a locket, small and delicate, its surface tarnished by time and wear. Slowly, she opened it, revealing a faded photograph inside. And that was when John froze, his breath catching his throat as recognition dawned upon him. For there, staring back at him from within the confines of the locket, was none other than Mary, his beloved wife. The night fell swiftly, blanketing the ranch in darkness punctuated only by the flickering glow of lanterns hanging from a porch. Inside the main house, John sat across from the mysterious girl, who introduced herself simply as Clara. Despite her young age, there was an air of maturity about her, a quiet strength that belied her fragile appearance. They sat in silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts, until finally, John broke the stillness. "How do you have this?" he asked, gesturing toward the locket now resting on the table between them. His fingers trembled slightly as he spoke, betraying the turmoil churning within him. Clara glanced down at the locket, her lips pressing into a thin line. "It belonged to my mother," she replied softly. "She told me stories about her life before she disappeared." John leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Disappeared? What do you mean?" "I don't know exactly," Clara admitted, her brow furrowing as if trying to recall details buried deep within her memory. "All I remember is that one day she left our cabin in the woods, saying she needed to find something important. She never came back. That was 5 years ago." A heavy silence settled over the room once again, broken only by the crackle of the fire burning in the hearth. John stared intently at the photograph, studying every detail. The curve of Mary's smile, the twinkle in her eyes, the way her hair cascaded over her shoulder. It was unmistakably her, yet somehow different, as though captured during a time he didn't recognize. "But your mother, she looks exactly like..." John trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Could it truly be possible? Could Mary have led a life unknown to him, one that extended beyond the boundaries of their marriage? Clara nodded slowly, understanding dawning in her expression. "That's why I came here. I've been searching for answers, hoping to learn what happened to her. I followed clues, piecing together fragments of information until I ended up here. This place feels familiar, Her words struck a chord within John, stirring emotions he'd long buried beneath layers of grief and resignation. Until now, he had accepted Mary's passing as final, a tragic end to their shared journey. But Clara's presence challenged that belief, forcing him to confront possibilities he hadn't dared to consider. Over the next few days, John and Clara worked together, delving deeper into the mystery surrounding the locket and its connection to Mary. They scoured old letters stored away in trunks, examined photographs tucked away in albums, and even ventured into nearby towns seeking any trace of information that might shed light on Mary's past. Along the way, they encountered various characters whose lives intertwined with Mary's story in unexpected ways. A former neighbor who remembered her kindness, a shopkeeper who recalled her visits, and even an old prospector who claimed to have met her during his travels. Each revelation brought new questions, unraveling threads of a tapestry far more intricate than either of them had anticipated. Little did they know, however, that their search would lead them to uncover truths not only about Mary, but also about themselves. One evening, as they sat around a campfire after a particularly grueling day of exploration, Clara turned to John with a curious glint in her eye. "Do you ever wonder," she began hesitantly, "if maybe she didn't leave because she wanted to? What if she was forced to go?" John stiffened at her words, the possibility striking him like a bolt of lightning. Forced to go? The idea seemed preposterous, yet it lingered in his mind, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. Refused to dismiss it outright, he instead focused on gathering more evidence, determined to separate fact from speculation. Their investigation eventually led them to an abandoned mining town nestled deep within the mountains. Here, amidst crumbling buildings and rusted machinery, they discovered remnants of a life hidden from view, a life that revealed secrets buried beneath layers of deceit and betrayal. As they sifted through documents and artifacts, a chilling realization dawned upon them. Mary had not merely vanished without explanation. She had been caught up in a web of intrigue involving powerful figures who sought to exploit her knowledge of the land and its resources. In the final act of their quest, John and Clara confronted the mastermind behind the conspiracy, a ruthless businessman named Victor Hale. Their encounter took place in an eerie forest bathed in moonlight, the shadows dancing ominously around them as tension hung thick in the air. "You won't get away with this," John growled, his fists clenched at his sides. Anger coursed through his veins, fueling his determination to bring justice to those responsible for Mary's suffering. Victor sneered, unfazed by the threat. "And what will you do, rancher? Expose me? By the time anyone believes your tale, it'll be too late. Your precious Mary is already gone, and nothing you say can change that." But then, just as hope seemed to slip away, Clara stepped forward, holding aloft the locket. Within its depths lay not only the image of Mary, but also a hidden message etched onto its inner surface, a message that contained vital information capable of dismantling Victor's empire. With this newfound leverage, John and Clara succeeded in exposing the truth, ensuring that Mary's legacy lived on through justice served. In the process, they forged an unbreakable bond, united by their shared journey and the lessons learned along the way. As the dust settled and the pieces of the puzzle finally clicked into place, John found himself reflecting on the events that had transpired. Unbelievable though it may seem, he realized that sometimes the answers we seek lie not in what we lose, but in what remains buried within us, waiting to be uncovered.